Yeah. As for pictures, I have to decline, unfortunately, because otherwise, if I say, I actually hate being rude to people. So if I say yes to one person, then it's like selfies for a zillion. It gets kind of crazy. So, but thanks for asking. Maybe we'll take one or two more questions, actually. So, sure. I don't know.
Okay, is your
Sorry. Hello. I had a question on the efficiency. I don't know if you've been paying attention to Aptera, and I was curious if you thought that was a space that you could see Tesla getting into, as far as not just an efficient manufacturing process, but also the actual car itself and range. Or just buy.
I'm not super familiar with them, but we have a lot of we have a lot of products to get done. It's not like it's never a shortage of ideas. Ideas, frankly, I find ideas to be somewhat trivial, but the execution of the idea is extremely difficult. And as I said, like, prototypes are easy, production is hard. Production and cash flow positive is excruciating pain that at a level you cannot believe. So it's not product ideas; they're irrelevant. That's what I think of them. It's sort of like the idea of going to the moon. That's not that's irrelevant. Getting to the moon is the hard part. So, okay. So maybe one last question. Yeah.
Elon, John Lopez from Orlando here. I've got two things for you real quick. The first one is, with rideshare being a growing thing, especially with Tesla owners, are we going to get a guest mode option available for that? The second thing is as an X-Plaid owner, I would really love to get track mode.
As a what, sorry?
X-Plaid.
Well, Plaid has track mode.
The Model X Plaid does not, though.
Oh, Model X. Yeah, we can probably add that, sure. Yeah, no problem. So, rideshare is a bunch of these things will really not be relevant in a self-driving world. You can summon the car and take you somewhere, and if you want to add someone to that ride, you can if you want to. But overwhelmingly, it is about achieving full self-driving. And I think we're really getting to the final stages of full self-driving where, I drove for several days around Austin, just dropping pins in random locations, and I had 0 safety interventions. So it's really, and even in the city of San Francisco, which is very complex, I haven't had a safety intervention in a long time. So I think it's getting to the point where, admittedly, I have been optimistic about this in the past, but I think this time. All right, I won't say it. All right, fair enough. All right. Okay, I think it'll happen, So, all right, you want one last question? Sure.
So first, congratulations on your decision to try advertising. We all want Tesla to pass Apple in market cap.
I didn't realize people wanted it that much. Okay.
It's good that a lot of people agree. So earlier this year, you cut prices on everything, 15, 20%. More recently, you've been raising prices on Model Y, Model S, Model X. And can you just talk about the pricing strategy on Model Y going forward and keep it separate from the decision to bring out the next-gen vehicles that we all agree is going to, blow the doors off on volume. But just on Model Y, it's the best-selling product in the world. Can you just talk about strategy of pricing going forward on that?
It's pretty straightforward. We see what the demand is, and then we adjust pricing to meet the demand. Now, the thing is that what is you know, what happens with other car makers is that they're actually constantly adjusting pricing on cars. It's just not obvious. In the case of Tesla, you can see immediately when there's a price change that occurs because we don't have any intermediaries, don't have any dealers. There's no manufacturer's suggested retail price. But the reality is actually at car dealers, the prices are changing radically. I mean, last year there were significant premiums above MSRP at sort of the conventional car dealer. You know, like, so you'd pay above MSRP last year, and then this year I think things are below MSRP or close to it, and then the manufacturers will then also offer incentives. So what's actually happening is are very big price shifts by other car makers. They're just not obvious, whereas with Tesla it's obvious. And this is necessary because demand fluctuates a lot. So something's got to be done to achieve a supply-demand clearing point for volume. So just people are reacting to something that's obvious as opposed to saying, oh yes, every car company does this all the time. Tesla is no exception. That's the actual reality. So, right? So.
Last question.
I'll be really quick.
Okay.
So I will say I have been driving FSD. My wife drives FSD. There's a term called the wife test. My wife will only drive our kids on FSD. It's incredible.
That is a great. I mean, the sort of significant other test is a very a good test because for a while there was like, you know, friends or significant others would be like, please don't put it on. It's too scary. But then it's getting to the point where, I mean, it's going to be just smooth as silk. So in fact, you'll be able to visually tell, perhaps even now you can, visually tell if the car is being driven on FSD or manually, because if it's being driven on FSD, it's smooth and precise. And if you look at if you actually closely observe cars going down the highway, the people are constantly moving in their lanes. So the cars are like doing this all the time when they're manually driven. If it's actually on FSD, it's dead center in the lane. It will actually get to the point where it is not merely, and maybe is at that point, not merely safer than a person, but actually way smoother than manual driving. I can't say enough about the profundity of full self-driving. It is just one of the biggest changes in history that will occur. It's not some feature. it's like a profound. It's really as profound as electrification. And we already have millions of the cars on the road that will literally achieve this with a software update. I mean, that's like head exploding emoji, you know? I think probably a lot of people in this room realize it, but most of the rest of the world doesn't. Yeah, so.
Given how incredible FSD is and how much merit you're giving to potential future margins of the car, as well as how much impact on society, and given that they didn't even want you to say if it's going to happen this year, just not to jinx it.
Sure.
Would it be possible to have just for some type of public-facing, investor-facing kind of timeline, so that way, you mentioned V12 is coming, and that's AI front end. Could we just see kind of a timeline on this is the version we're at, these are the things we're working on, and this is when we're ETA, so we can kind of see that in real time instead of maybe Elon time?
No, so the thing that's been really difficult with full self-driving is that it very often seems like it's about to happen until you realize that you're actually at a local maximum and that you need to re-architect elements of the software to get out of the local maximum to then a higher local maximum. So it's been this sort of series of logarithmic curves. And that's why it's been like, it seemed like, oh, if you just extrapolate this on a straight line, it gets to self-driving, except that it's not a straight line, it's a logarithmic curve, and it sort of, and you start hitting these like local maximums where you'll sort of asymptote to a certain capability and then have to re-architect things. So now I think we're finally at a high enough local maximum, or will be this year, where to the point where it is, I think, probably safer than a person, meaning the probability of injury on average will be better than a person, even if someone pays no attention to the car. It is worth saying that right now, for human supervised Tesla full self-driving, it is dramatically safer than manual driving. It's like, I think like 4 times safer, maybe more. So it is already a massive safety improvement to have human supervised FSD right now. And I think we will get to the point where we're always going to be in some amount of local maximum, but I think that we'll be in a local maximum that exceeds human level safety this year. Yeah, but I guess we'll see. So anyway, I want to thank you all for coming, and so just want to say, like, you know, your support is super appreciated, and you know, as I say, a friend in need is a friend indeed, and supporting Tesla when the chips are down, those are the real friends, and you're them. So thank you. All right. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Tesla's 2023 Annual Shareholder Meeting in Austin, Texas. My name is Martin Viecha. I'm Vice President of Investor Relations, and I will be the chair of today's meeting. First of all, I really wanted to thank everyone who continues to do this trip on an annual basis and shows up every time. It's really quite something that we have a following as dedicated as this, so thank you very much for that. I also wanted to thank our first-time visitors. I know that many of you won a lottery to come for the first time to a Tesla shareholder meeting. You'll probably notice that unlike many other shareholder meetings of other companies, this one tends to be a bit more fun, so hope you enjoy that. But the last thing I really wanted to say is that just thank you so much for all your support over the years. We really feel like you're part of our mission, you know, part of our story, and it's something we truly, truly value. So thank you so much for that. There will be 2 parts of today's meeting. First, the formal part of the meeting, where we will cover items that stockholders have been asked to vote on, as well as any other matters that are properly presented. And after the voting, I will introduce Tesla's co-founder and CEO and techno-king, Elon Musk, who will give a presentation about Tesla's year in review. But at this time, I'd like to thank the members of the Tesla team and the board who are here with us here today. A representative from PricewaterhouseCoopers, Tesla's independent auditor, present with us as well. But before we begin, I'd like to introduce you to Tesla's chair, Robin Denholm, who would like to say a few words.
I'm a little bit shorter. So, hello everyone. On behalf of the board, I am really honoured to welcome you all here today to the 2023 annual shareholder meeting. It's wonderful for me to see everyone in the room today and also the many investors that have joined us today via the virtual live stream. It's our third straight year of having the annual meeting here in Austin. At the first meeting, the factory was still in the early stages of development with equipment being installed and commissioned. During the 2022 meeting, production had started to ramp as we produced about 1,600 vehicles that week. And now, less than a year later, we have more than tripled the amount, having achieved production of 5,000 cars in a single week. A huge congratulations to the Texas team. And on top of that, we are getting ready to roll out our first Cybertrucks. This exponential trajectory of the Gigafactory here in Texas is a reflection of Tesla as a whole. In 2022 was another record-breaking year for us, with deliveries growing by 40% year over year. And that trend has continued in the first quarter of 2023. We would not be able to achieve this growth without the dedication of our amazing employees. I've been fortunate enough over the years to actually travel to many of our locations, all of the gigafactories around the world, and I can tell you that I've witnessed firsthand how our exceptional employees in our global talent across the world has together achieved our mission or furthered our mission of accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. A huge round of applause, please. This year, here in Texas, we also had our very first Investor Day, where we introduced our company leaders from design to engineering to supply chain, manufacturing, energy, and charging. And they each spoke about the role of their teams in making our mission come to life. And I was thrilled that investors were able to hear directly from this outstanding leadership team that Elon has been able to put together over many, many years. It is on the strength of their leadership and the hard work of our dedicated employees around the world that I believe we are not only weather the macroeconomic environment that we've seen this year, but also continue to be in the strongest position ever to advance Tesla's mission. As a startup, Tesla proved that electric vehicles could be fun with the Roadster. They could even be better than gas-powered vehicles in every single way with the S and X, and could be all of these things as well as affordable with the Model 3 and Model Y, which last quarter became the best-selling vehicle of any kind in Europe and the best-selling non-pickup vehicle in the United States. And today, as one of the world's largest global companies, we plan to change the paradigm again by forging the path to achieving a global sustainable energy economy as set out at our Investor Day in our Master Plan 3. As Tesla grows, so do our customers' positive impact on carbon emissions. When I stood here last year, I proudly announced that in 2021, our customers avoided emitting 8.4 million metric tonnes of greenhouse gas emissions, the equivalent of over 20 billion miles driven by internal combustion engine vehicles. Today, I can tell you that in 2022, our customers avoided releasing over 13.4 million metric tonnes of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, the equivalent of over 33 billion miles of driving of internal combustion vehicles. That's an almost 60% increase in total emission savings year over year. Putting more of our products in customers' hands helps grow that number, and our goals of making our products greener over time and further decarbonising the electric grid will help multiply that effect. As part of that goal, I am delighted to say that, as described in our recent impact report, our global supercharging network was again 100% renewable in 2022. We've been able to achieve all of this while maintaining industry-leading margins and generating strong cash flows over the last several years. Going forward, we will continue our focus on capital investment plans to support our future growth, with investments in batteries, in vehicle production, including the next generation platform, in the building of our lithium refinery that we recently broke ground on, in the energy storage factories, in our sales and service footprint, and in our charging network, among other things. Before I hand it back to Martin, I would also like to thank Hiro Mizuno for his dedicated service to the Tesla shareholders and the board these past 3 years. I would also like to express our enthusiasm on behalf of my fellow directors at the prospect of JB Straubel joining our board. I don't have to tell you that his passion for Tesla and green tech will make him an important asset in our mission to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. So again, on behalf of our full board, thank you for your tremendous support and welcome to your 2023 shareholder meeting. And with that, I'll hand it back to Martin.
Thank you, Robin. I will now call the meeting to order. Please refer to the meeting agenda that has been provided to you and posted on the virtual meeting site. The time is now 3:10 p.m. Central Time, and I declare the polls are now open. We have already received over the last few weeks voting proxies from stockholders, meaning that almost all the votes that will be counted were already submitted before today. However, if you wish to vote your shares or change your prior vote, you may do so through the virtual meeting site. For those who are in person here today, ballots and ballot boxes were available to you at the check-in. Tesla's board of directors has appointed Computershare Trust Company to serve as Inspector of Elections. Computershare has taken and signed an oath as inspector and has certified that starting on April 6, 2023, the proxy materials or a notice of internet availability of proxy materials were mailed or provided to all Tesla stockholders of record March 20th, 2023. We have majority of outstanding shares represented at the meeting, so I declare that there's a quorum present at the meeting, and we may proceed with the meeting. The items on the agenda are as follows. Number 1, the election of Class 1 directors Elon Musk, Robin Denholm, and JB Straubel to serve for a term of 3 years or until the respective successors are duly elected and qualified. Number 2, to approve executive compensation on a non-binding advisory basis. Number 3, to approve the frequency of future votes on executive compensation on a non-binding advisory basis. Number 4, to ratify the appointment of PricewaterhouseCoopers LLP as Tesla's independent public registered accounting firm for the 2023 fiscal year. Number 5, to vote on a stockholder proposal included in our proxy statement, which relates to the reporting of key person risk. Number 6, to vote on a stockholder proposal which the stockholders did not seek to have included in our proxy statement. Tesla's board has recommended that our stockholders vote for each of the director nominees, for the approval by non-binding advisory vote of executive compensation, and the ratification of appointment of PwC as an independent registered public accounting firm for fiscal year 2023. And every 3 years for non-binding advisory vote for the frequency of future votes on executive compensation. With respect to stockholder proposal included in our proxy statement, which relates to the reporting on the key man risk, Karen Roberts-Dotier, on behalf of Sumtris, is here to present this proposal. Ms. Roberts-Dotier, can you please identify yourself? I would like to invite you to speak. You will have 3 minutes.
I'll hold it for you.
I got it. Hello. Thank you for having me here today. Under discussion is a shareholder proposal concerning key person risk at Tesla, requiring Tesla's board to draft a report covering the steps taken to ameliorate the potential impacts of loss of key persons in the company. However, before I begin, I would first like to say thank you to Mr. Musk. For so many of us, you stepped into fields where we had so desperately wanted to see change, and through bringing in a talented team, willing to put in the long hours, you dragged reluctant industries kicking and screaming into a better future, and for that, thank you. Building up this juggernaut around us, which, as you largely put it, runs itself these days. Thank you for that. And yet now here we are today, at a time when Tesla's technological leadership should be on display. The investment community largely sees us as adrift, with management focused on all the matters not Tesla, watching as Tesla's brand favorability dropped by 15 points last year, something that cost us margins. We have such a spectacular product pipeline and a team that knows how to execute at scale with low cost of goods sold, something that we are not being properly recognized for. It should go without saying, but apparently bears repeating, that if you cannot produce with low COGS, you have no future. When I look around the auto industry these days, I see a lot of companies that have no future. And that's a success on behalf of an incredible team here at Tesla that deserves recognition. But when people look at this company, that's not what they see. They see the company as a synonym for its CEO. And then the discussion turns to everything except for where it should be focused. It's my sincere hope that by introducing this proposal, we can not only accelerate the development of management at Tesla, but also increase its visibility. The fact that this company is so much more than its key persons is something that the public and the investment community should see. A founder often finds their greatest success in ensuring the future of the company and the development of the management talent who can come after them. Think Tim Cook at Apple, Steve Ballmer at Microsoft, and so forth. People who are ready from day one to execute without controversy, without distraction, and build a future for the company. I encourage the board should embrace this opportunity in the most public manner possible to showcase the future being built right here so that the discussion among the public and the investment community revolves around that and not around every public statement on every other topic made by the leadership. I strongly encourage the board, the shareholders to support this proposal and for the board to embrace it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Roberts-Dotier. The board is recommended that our stockholders vote against this proposal for the reasons as set forth in our statement of opposition in our proxy statement. Finally, as you saw, and investor advocates for social justice would like to raise a proposal from the floor. The proponents did not seek to have their proposal included in the proxy statement. The board recommends that our stockholders who are entitled to vote on this proposal vote against it. As a reminder, as is disclosed in a proxy statement, I've been advised by the proxy holders that they intend to vote all shares of stock over which they have discretionary authority against this proposal. Only shareholders who are shareholders of record or have obtained a legal proxy may vote for this proposal after it is presented. Courtney Wicks, representing Investor Advocates for Social Justice, is here to present the proposal. Ms. Wicks, I would like you to speak. You will have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Tesla board members, management, employees, and shareholders. My name is Courtney Wicks, and I am the Executive Director for Investor Advocates for Social Justice. And I'm here on behalf of As You Sow and the Sisters of the Good Shepherd, who have filed shareholder proposals in the past on child labor and human rights abuses in Tesla's supply chain. I stand here today to call on shareholders to vote yes on requesting Tesla to conduct a third-party report detailing the company's efforts to eradicate child and forced labor in its supply chain. The human rights risks that permeate throughout Tesla's value chain, when not adequately addressed, harm shareholder value and undermine Tesla's ability to lead the just transition. Growing attention and concern have been placed on child labor in cobalt mining in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, as well as on forced labor in China's Xinjiang region. 70% of the world's cobalt needed for EV batteries are sourced in the DRC. Over 40,000 children work in artisanal and small-scale mining, often without protective equipment and in dangerous spaces that frequently collapse. Many children are seriously injured or killed in the mining process. In Tesla's latest sustainability report, it claims to have audited 80% of the miners and refiners in their cobalt supply chain against responsible production standards. However, there are many industry-backed standards, some of which are weak, and it isn't clear what percentage of audits were conducted by which initiatives. It is also unclear how the company's due diligence ensures cobalt sourced from child labor is not intermingled in the industrial cobalt supply chain. Subsequently, an estimated 1.8 million people have been subject to state-imposed genocide, detention and internment camps, and forced labor in the Xinjiang Uyghur region. A recent study concluded that automakers cannot conduct meaningful audits in this region. The recent Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act in the United States Senate inquiry into Tesla's supply chain highlights the regulatory risk Tesla faces. We believe a third-party audit would provide greater transparency into how Tesla plans to eradicate child and forced labor from its supply chain. One of Tesla's competitive advantages is its sustainable leadership. Tesla, its board of directors and management team have a moral obligation to pursue ethical sourcing practices that do not rely on the lives of children or enslaved people. Tesla can continue to make a true leadership difference that forges a sustainable economic future that is anchored by innovation, empathy, human development, and shareholder value. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wicks. We will now accept votes for, against, or to abstain for this proposal, but again, only for record holders or legal proxy holders. Please note, this is the final opportunity to submit proxies in order for them to be counted. I declare the polls are now closed. Based on proxies we have previously received, I'd like to announce on preliminary basis that our stockholders have approved the recommendations of the Tesla board on all agenda items, except that shareholders have recommended 1 year for non-binding advisory vote on the frequency of future votes on executive compensation. This means that I would like to officially announce our new addition to the Tesla board, J.B. Straubel. After the final tabulation is completed, we will announce specific vote tallies in the filing form 8K within 4 business days of this meeting. That concludes the official business of today's shareholder meeting, which is now adjourned. During the course of the following session, we may discuss our business outlook and make forward-looking statements. Such statements are predictions based on current expectations. Actual events could differ materially due to a number of risks and uncertainties, including those disclosed in our most recent Form 10-K and 10-Q filings with the SECs. Such forward-looking statements represent our views as of today, should not be relied on thereafter, and we disclaim from any obligation to update them after today. And with that, please welcome Elon Musk.
I just want to say I love you guys. Well, we've got a lot of great news to talk about today. The Tesla team has done an incredible job of executing over the past year, and we have many exciting years ahead of us. So, yeah. So with the Tesla Master Plan Part 3, which admittedly was quite technical. We wanted to go into a lot of technical depth. It was clear that that what we were saying was not just, were not merely assertions, but that they were backed up with physics and with real data, that it's realistic. And with the Master Plan Part 3, we want to, basically, the goal is to give people hope, realistic hope, and maybe hope's even the wrong word, but simply to say that there is a path to a fully sustainable global economy, that we are on that path, that we are accelerating that path, and that so long as we don't get complacent about it, it will happen. So I'll kind of rush through a recap of the Master Plan Part 3, but some of the salient points are that it will actually take less energy to go sustainable, not more energy. It's actually more and some of these things may sound very obvious, but it's more energy efficient to go sustainable, not less. There's less mining that is required for a sustainable energy economy, not more. Also very important. I heard a question raised about cobalt mining, and you know what? We will do a third-party audit. So in fact, we'll put a webcam on the mine. And if anybody sees any children, please let us know. I don't want to go off on a tangent too much on that front, but it's very important to appreciate that most of our battery packs are iron-based. A majority of our battery packs are iron-based, not cobalt. And then our other battery packs are nickel-based, not cobalt. The nickel batteries use a little bit of cobalt as a binder, but only a tiny amount. In contrast, your phones all use 100% cobalt. I recommend complaining to the phone manufacturers. But even for the small amount of cobalt that we do use, we will make sure, 6 ways to Sunday, that no child labor is being exploited. Obviously, we're a company that cares a lot